The Battle of Plataea, September 26, 479 BC, between the Greek army, under the supreme command of the Spartan general Pausanias, and the Persian army led by Mardonius was one of the largest battles of the Greco-Persian Wars. In the spring of 479 BC, Mardonius' army, which had occupied Macedonia and Thessaly after the burning of Athens by the Persians and the Battle of Salamis, entered Attica, but the movement of Spartan and Peloponnesian troops to help Athens forced it to withdraw to Boeotia. After crossing the Asopus River, Mardonius set up a large fortified camp on the way from the city of Plataea to Thebes. The total number of the Persian army reached 350,000 soldiers, 300,000 African and Asian troops and 50,000 auxiliary Thracian, Macedonian, and Greek soldiers. The united army of 24 Greek republics, under the command of the Spartan general Pausanias, approximately 110,000 soldiers, moved in pursuit of the retreating Persians and took up a position in front of the enemy camp on the slopes of Mount Cithaeron, northeast of Plataea. The Spartans, 50,000, were positioned on the right flank, honored place of the battle order. The Athenians, 16,000 under Aristides, on the left flank, and the troops of other Greek cities, 44,000, were in the center. There were a total of 38,000 heavy infantry and 72,000 light infantry. There was no cavalry in the Greek army at all. Mardonius deployed his forces at Plataea in the following order: Persian troops on the left wing, facing the Spartans. Auxiliary Greek and Macedonian forces on the right wing, facing the Athenians. And Medians and Bactrians in the center. However, both commanders initially avoided battle. The Greeks did not want to give up the advantage of their favorable defensive position, while Mardonius waited for the enemy to cross to the left bank of the Asopus, where the flat terrain would give his Persian cavalry a crucial advantage. Finally, losing hope of active action from the Greeks, Mardonius decided to attack. The opponents changed their formation twice and remained in their original positions. Meanwhile, these movements took all morning, and instead of launching a general attack, Mardonius limited himself to sending all his cavalry to the Gargantian spring and behind the Greek lines. The spring that supplied the Greek army with water was captured and blocked by the Persians, putting the Greeks in a difficult situation. At the Council of War, it was decided to retreat back towards Plataea. On the night of September 26th, the center of the Greek army moved there, and on the morning of the 26th, the other Greek forces began moving towards Plataea. Meanwhile, the Persian cavalry crossed the Asopus and attacked the Spartans. They were followed by the Persian infantry, who disregarded proper formation, thinking that the Greeks were retreating and that time was of the essence. Thus, the Battle of Plataea began. The swift attack of the cavalry and the advance of the Persian infantry put the Spartans in a difficult position, and Pausanias called for help from the Athenians. However, the Athenians themselves were attacked at that time by the right wing of the Persian army, Greek and Macedonian forces. Meanwhile, the Spartans, suffering heavy losses from the enemy infantry, who, by putting their shields on the ground, rained accurate arrows on them from behind cover, launched their own attack. This passage describes the deployment and movements of the Persian and Greek forces before and during the Battle of Plataea. Mardonius initially waited for the Greeks to move, but eventually sent his cavalry to cut off their water supply. The Greeks retreated towards Plataea, while the Persians attacked the Spartans, followed by the Greek and Macedonian forces. The battle began with a swift attack by the Persian cavalry, which put the Spartans in a difficult position, but the Greeks eventually launched a counterattack. An intense hand-to-hand battle ensued between the two sides at the Battle of Plataea. Despite their equal bravery, the Persians, who were inferior to the Greeks in defensive weaponry, organization, and military training, could not break through the solid Spartan phalanx, despite their best efforts. The Persian strikes were ineffective, so the phalanx advanced, with the Greek warriors calmly intercepting the Persian spears with their own, which had a sharp counterbalance that allowed them to strike back at the enemy. The Greeks also used short swords called kopis. The Persians fell one by one, and the phalanx advanced through the corpses with little resistance. The Persian commander, Mardonius, then launched a furious attack, riding on horseback with 1,000 elite bodyguards, the Immortals. It would be over 1,500 years before riders galloping with spears tucked under their arms would inspire fear in foot soldiers, but now Mardonius rides a horse that is barely 1.5 meters tall at the withers, with a not-so-impressive mount and the rider's only weapon being a light dart. The horse has no stirrups, and even the saddle is just a simple pad. One of the Greek hoplites turns to face the new threat, as the Spartans did not consider riders to be serious opponents. The hoplite intercepts the spear in the middle with an underhand grip and strikes upward from below. The horse rears up and Mardonius falls to the ground. As the Persian commander was protected by a reliable armor under his cloak, the Spartan warrior thrusts his spear directly into his face, just as another notable Persian, Messicius, had been killed before him. At the Battle of Plataea, the mortal wound of Mardonius decided the outcome in favor of the Spartans, as this loss unfavorably affected the morale of the Persian forces, who were soon crushed. In disarray, they fled to their fortified camp on the left bank of the Asopus. About 40,000 Persian troops who had not yet taken part in the battle followed Mardonius' example and retreated upon seeing the flight of his infantry. Meanwhile, the Athenian Aristides led the battle against the Persian allied Greek forces. Thanks to his skilled leadership and incredible bravery, the Athenians broke the enemy's stubbornness, although they withdrew in order toward Thebes, albeit with significant losses. The Spartans, Athenians, and the Greek center forces, who by this time had returned from under Plataea, vigorously pursued the Persian army across the Asopus. Upon approaching the enemy's fortified camp, the Spartans made several attempts to storm it, but each time they were unsuccessful. With the arrival of the Athenians, the Persian camp was finally taken, and the remnants of the Persian army, not pursued by their allies, retreated to the Hellespont. The defeat of the Persians in the land battle at Plataea complemented the Greek success in the naval battle at Salamis and had a decisive impact on the Greco-Persian Wars. The victory at the Battle of Plataea was a crucial turning point in the Greco-Persian Wars and had a significant impact on ancient Greece. Prior to this battle, the Persians had conquered and subjugated several Greek city-states and were poised to expand their empire even further. However, the defeat of the Persian army by the united Greek forces at Plataea marked the beginning of the end of Persian aggression against Greece. The importance of this victory lies in the fact that it secured Greek independence and prevented the expansion of the Persian Empire into Europe. It also solidified the leadership of Athens and Sparta as the two dominant Greek city-states and paved the way for the establishment of the Delian League, which was a military alliance led by Athens that eventually grew into an Athenian empire. The victory at Plataea also had cultural and philosophical implications. The Greeks saw themselves as defenders of civilization and freedom against the barbaric Persians, and the victory helped to reinforce this idea. It also contributed to the development of Greek philosophy and literature, as the Greeks began to reflect on their identity and values in the wake of the war. Overall, the victory at the Battle of Plataea was a decisive moment in ancient Greek history that helped to shape the political, cultural, and philosophical landscape of the region for centuries to come. It ensured the survival of Greek civilization and marked the beginning of a new era of Greek dominance in the Mediterranean world. Thank you for your attention and see you in new videos on the channel, Echoes of the Ancient World. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and all the best.